Where's everybody? There we go. Aubrey's in the house. Good. Sonya, what's up? Hello, hello. Now people are trickling. Kat, you're lucky yourself is here today.
I know you're calling me out in the challenge chat and everything, man.
Well, I mean, you sent me 500 questions on hormones, so I've spent the past few days making sure I can answer all of the questions on hormones.
Hey, you asked if there's a topic, and I gave you all the questions that
She's the
I could
only
come
one
up
that
with.
she's the only one that came in with a topic in chat. Luckily, I mean, a lot of her questions were focused on some female hormone stuff. I mean, I'll get into all this female hormone stuff, but I ran the gamut. I ran the gamut. I cover male, female. So even if you're a boy and I start talking about stuff more pertinent to the women, stick around because we'll run the gamut on both, tie them both together tonight. But hormones super important. I got to cover a little bit of housekeeping because it's the final week of the challenge. We'll announce the challenge winner on Monday, so there'll be a pop-up call Monday at 6. Hopefully you can make it. The reason I'm not doing Wednesday is because it just occurred to me that Thanksgiving is on Thursday, and I feel like people are probably going to be they don't want to spend time with me. You're already off work. You want to be done. You want to be just checked out, clocked out. So we'll go Monday next week. My accelerated crew, we're not meeting on Thursday, Black or Thanksgiving. So we'll look at maybe Tuesday. I'll talk to all of y'all. Um, Everybody else, what else do I have? Housekeeping. Getting a lot of messages from people who are interested in continuing the journey after. Just shoot me a message through the app if you want to continue. I will give you, a breakdown on the various options. We'll jump on a call if we have to. Yeah, just shoot me a message if you want to keep your journey going. I'm not going to bore everybody with that tonight. Only 15 people in here right now. Where is everybody? It's slacking. We got a bunch of people that said they couldn't make it tonight, but I'm okay with that. We could take a smaller crew. That'll leave me flying through. How do we feel our knowledges of hormones? Do we worry about our hormones? Do we stress about it? Throw it in the chat. Come off mute if you want. Is it something people freak out about, or is it just cat?
I don't freak out about it, but being an older lady, it's definitely something that's on my mind.
You're like 25.
Yeah, okay.
You're young, but yep, feeling having more and more palpitations. To be honest, I haven't stressed much, but I know I should. Okay, I'll worry about them. All right, good. Bob's here. We'll worry about them. All right. So, you know, I ran. I think I went a little overboard with this one. I hope I don't run too long tonight. Long-winded. I will fly through, but I'll hopefully leave some room for questions. I feel like I say that every week. We'll pop on a mute. I'll go into presenter mode. I feel like I should dive into this one quick tonight. And then we'll hopefully leave some space. Where's my share screen button? But yeah, hormones. Let me go presenter mode. We need my admin. We got to get the admin working. Can we see my hormone screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Beautiful. Hormones, fat loss, and training, how it all ties together. Let me just shift some windows around so I can keep an eye on the chat. I think I got this down. So we'll start high level. High level on the hormones. Really, the difference between male and female. This is just an overview, but men tend to have more anabolic hormones, testosterone and growth hormone. Men tend to also have more muscle mass, which generally leads to a higher metabolic rate. We know more muscle, there's a cost to having muscle on your body. We burn more calories in that cost. That cost comes by way of calories. So that's why we try to add some muscle in there. Men tend to put on more muscle due to the testosterone and elevated growth hormone levels. Tend to recover faster, sorry, ladies, and are generally more stable day to day. As we get deeper into that, you can throw it in the chat if you do not feel stable. Women, cyclical, so definitely not as stable day to day. Cyclical hormone patterns, especially estrogen and progesterone, more sensitive to calorie deficits. So you go too low, you might notice some adverse side effects. We've talked about that before, whether it's hair loss or trouble sleeping. and I'll dive into a lot. This is really just the high level overview right here. More cortisol reactive, so you're more prone to stress, and you need strategic training at different phases. This is why even men and female, I cycle through things. It's not always good to lift heavy 100% of the time, high intensity, not always good. One isn't easier. Men don't have it easier than women. It's just different. And I generally coaching will approach with a different strategy calorie wise because of that. But hormone hierarchy, the three main categories you want to be able to understand are the metabolic ones. So insulin, cortisol, thyroid, those are all going to affect the metabolism. The sex hormones, estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone, and the recovery and growth hormones, which growth hormone, and IGF-1. Everything we cover tonight is going to tie back to energy balance, recovery, and body composition. So all of these, the whole picture, and I highly doubt anybody on here has a perfect hormone profile. It'd be very hard to achieve perfection across the board there. Biggest issue and worry is thyroid since I have thyroid disease. Absolutely. I mentioned some things on the thyroid later on that you might want to look at incorporating that could help. But with that, having thyroid disease, definitely recommend talking to your doctor. This is high level overview stuff. But the universal hormones that really affect all runners, most of the people in here are runners, and these really do not just affect runners, they apply to everyone. But insulin, so blood sugar and recovery is affected there. Cortisol, you hear cortisol is if protein was the big boom word that you're hearing a lot of from 2024 to mid 2025, cortisol is the biggest, like the second biggest that's really popping up right now. A couple people have messaged me. There's this great cortisol tea that this influencer tried to push. Like, don't worry about the tea. There's certain supplements that can help reduce cortisol, and none of them are a $75 for 30 serving tea. I could run you through some decent supplements to take there. Guilty of having high cortisol. Melissa, that does not shock me at all. Apparently don't know how to stay out of flight or fight mode. We've talked about that, but absolutely that seems like the one I would if I was throwing a dart, that's right where I'd throw it. Family history of thyroid stuff. Okay, so far, get the labs done every year. Good. Get them checked. If that's a good point, Sophie. If you haven't gotten labs done on this stuff, I highly recommend it. It's so easy to find a clinic just to see if any of the above are off. And it's more about awareness. They're going to give you, especially a lot of the clinics now, if you go, they're going to recommend, as we go down, especially male and female, testosterone. Men and women have that, responsible for strength, energy, and drive. But if you're low on that, they are going to immediately try to put you on testosterone. And that's more of a conversation to have with yourself and your partner. Is that a route you want to take? Is that something you're open to? I won't touch too much on that tonight, but going back to it, thyroid, that affects the metabolism and energy, growth hormone. It's really overnight repair. We make a whole lot of growth hormone when we're a child, and it just declines through life. And you know, that's responsible for the youthful look, the energy, high metabolism, all that stuff. But I always like to, you hear growth hormone. It's kind of looked at very similar to testosterone and steroids, where excess dosage on anything is not good. I mean, I look at Sylvester Stallone. I mentioned him when I talk growth hormone. The man's face has grown. His face has grown, and he's been quoted as saying he takes a very high dose of growth hormone regularly. Does keep him young. I mean, the guy's 78, 79, and looks incredible still, but there is some take too much, organs can grow. So have that conversation with your doctor if you're super low on growth hormone and they try to put you on a bunch, or if you go to a clinic and they try to put you on a bunch, make sure that it's in a respectable area. But yeah, Stallone got busted trying to smuggle it into like Austria or something. Because the guy just lives on it. You could see it. His lips have grown. His face has grown. Not something I would ever want. Leptin and ghrelin. These are hunger hormones and fullness hormones. So if your sleep is off, you're most likely going to produce, and I always get this wrong. I did another thing on hormones and I made it super simple, but you're going to produce more leptin, I believe it is, which is going to increase hunger, and you're going to produce less ghrelin, which is going to decrease feelings of fullness. So that happens just by being lacking sleep. Something you can easily affect. If you get 7 to 8 hours of sleep, you're going to be more balanced on leptin and ghrelin, and you're going to just reduce hunger signals. You're going to increase fullness signals. So good stuff. We touched on testosterone already. Application with a male and a female changes, but the fundamentals of it all really doesn't change too much. Key hormones for muscle growth and fat loss. With muscle growth, testosterone, yes, women need it. Women produce testosterone naturally, just not as much as men do. Growth hormone, absolutely, it's in the word. It helps you grow. Even though we produce less as we get older, we still produce some. IGF-1, insulin-like growth factor, another one responsible for muscle growth, and insulin. So when used correctly, you hear a lot of people, another buzzword, oh, I'm insulin resistant, and you know, it's an anabolic hormone, which means it helps you grow muscle. So when used correctly, insulin can really help with muscle growth. And it's just not, when I say when used correctly, it's not losing control of your insulin. So I used to have a Pop Tart. I just talked about this with Charlotte. I used to have a Pop Tart before I worked out and a very fast digesting carb to spike insulin levels because timing it right around your workout will actually put you in an anabolic state and help with the muscle growth. So there's good times to spike your insulin. Having a piece of cake right before bed, probably not the right answer there. Fat loss ones, insulin right there with it. Cortisol. Cortisol gets too high and it'll definitely slow down regulate fat loss. We talked about leptin and ghrelin. Thyroid, there's the T3 and T4, and then estrogen. So protective effect on your metabolism. If you're in the right amount, everything's balanced there. Looking at testosterone and how it impacts muscle and fat loss with men and women. Again, men, we have higher baseline levels, so it's much easier for a man to put on muscle. We tend to have better, as a male, better strength retention during fat loss phases. So if the calories are low, because of that higher testosterone, we're able to maintain most of our strength, a good amount of our strength, and with that, keep the metabolism high, keep the metabolism upregulated and high, which leads to more metabolic flexibility. Cut the calories, and we're able to hold that strength so we have more muscle on ourselves. Metabolism is a little more flexible for the boys in the house. For women, lower baseline on the testosterone, so muscle becomes a lot more precious for you. And I chose that word carefully. When I say precious, it's if we're in a deficit and we're losing muscle, we want to maintain it as much as possible. Treat it like a precious mineral because that will offset the metabolism down regulating. Metabolism slowing down. You guys hear people, I have slow metabolism. Well, you know, first thing I wouldn't focus on building some lean muscle to because it's precious. Focus on building it up. And with that, strength training becomes non-negotiable. Cutting calories and muscle is going to, with that lower level of testosterone, the muscle is gonna wanna come off. So when we cut calories, the body doesn't say I'm just going to lose fat. The body's going to lose fat, it's going to lose muscle, and we look at it right now with Ozempic and semaglutide and all of the peptides that are out there to help with weight loss. And people are losing muscle at a very substantial clip because they're not doing strength training along with it. So that's why I say strength training, non-negotiable. That goes for both genders. And, stress and undereating can definitely suppress levels. That goes for the gentleman in the house too. So you eat too little, your testosterone is gonna go down. Um, your stress is probably gonna go up. Dieting is stressful. Cutting calories is a stressor on your body. Cutting calories is a stressor on the body. So, you know, that's where we want to reduce the stress levels. So everyone benefits from protecting and optimizing testosterone. You do that through strength training, protein, sleep, and stress management. Stance on BHRT, bioidentical hormone replacement therapy, and women during menopause. Talk to your doctor. Talk to your doctor, Kat. Um, if your levels are not optimized and not you, you're not going to feel as good. I get my testosterone checked every single year. I'm still at a level that is good for my age. I'm still in the healthy range, but I have no problem, if they say I fall out of that healthy range and I'm low, having that conversation with my doctor and having that conversation with my wife, say, "Hey, I think I'm going to go on the hormone replacement therapy." It's not for everybody, but if your levels are low and you optimize yourself, it is going to make your journey easier. So hopefully that answers, Kat. How do cortisol levels? I'm on progesterone from my doctor. I'm good on testosterone, naturally good. Good. And very much could be the case. You never know. Part of the full body panel that I get, they told me I was low on vitamin D3. I thought they were crazy. Thought they were nuts because I live in Central Florida, and I'm like, "Oh, okay, that was the only thing I was low on, that, and I want to say magnesium." But I started incorporating more magnesium into my diet. I started incorporating more D3 into my diet, and energy levels went up. And I'm a mad scientist when it comes to this, so I didn't incorporate. They wanted to just give me shots of D3 and magnesium. I just started incorporating D3 supplements right off the bat, and I noticed a improvement within the first month. And I didn't incorporate the magnesium until I got a good a good look at how my body handled the D3, because I wanted to know which one was actually affecting me. Is it the D3 making me feel better, or is it the magnesium? So I broke the two apart. I was already feeling good on D3, incorporated magnesium. Magnesium, when I incorporated my sleep, oh, it got so much better, so much deeper, which ended up tying into the, improvements in growth hormone and all that other stuff. So tie it all together. D3. Maine, Sonia, you're gonna have that problem, girl. You're gonna have that problem up in Maine. I can't believe in Central Florida I was low on D3. Cortisol. So, how do they affect recovery and performance? Cortisol is essentially the stress hormone. We all release cortisol naturally, good in the short term. So, you go for a run, your body's going to have a little bit of cortisol release. You lift weights, your body's going to have a cortisol release. Anything you do that puts any kind of stress on your body, running, lifting, dieting is a stress on the body, I mentioned, cortisol is going to release. It's only bad when it's chronically elevated. So generally, if you see somebody that's just, I get people like this all, dude. I'm doing a high intensity interval class at 5 o'clock in the morning every day, and I go home, and when I'm done, I do a 5K, and I still can't lose this last 40 pounds I want to lose. They're chronically elevated. Their body is just so stressed the hell out that it is using resources not to lose weight. It is using resources to stay alive, to reduce stress. Their body is just we said fight or flight above that. Your body is in fight mode, and there's just no bueno. We got to look for ways to reduce that cortisol. High cortisol can definitely slow recovery. If you constantly have aches, Melissa, I didn't want to call you out. I wanted you to call yourself out, but that is you. She was doing, and her and I spoke about this, a couple of weeks ago, and she was doing CrossFit, what, 5 times a day or 5 times a week?
A week.
Imagine that. You would definitely be flared if you were doing cortisol or CrossFit 5 times a day. But she was doing CrossFit 5 times a week. Um, she was running 5 times a week, and it was just, your body is just telling you, dude, chill. I'm trying to stay alive. So no, no bueno, not
And
good.
I was also adding in your strength training when I got home at night. So, yeah, not good.
Do you work out? Do you work out for stress relief, or just because you love to work out?
It is like my mental escape. And I grew up on a farm. I like to lift heavy things a lot. So, you know, it's just kind of just in me. So,
And I asked that question because for some people, exercise is an escape. Like for me, when I started exercising, and I started getting better and better, if I felt like I finally had something I was good at, something I enjoy to do. So I was just in the gym constantly at 24 years old, just like, yeah, if I the more is better. And oh man, this is also keeping me away from some not so healthy activities I was doing at 24 years old. So I think we have to look at that side and say, there's people in the gym that they go because they are depressed or they're going through some shit, and I'll take the cortisol spike in that case. I'd 100% take take a spike cortisol. But as I've personally gotten a little older, I've said, done the research on it. I realize I'm more than anything addicted to the progress now. I'm addicted to seeing the needle move. And people say, wait till you hit 40 and you're never gonna PR start, they go away. You're not gonna you stop getting better at things. And I'm like, I got 6 PRs on my last workout. Like, well, because I found the balance and had to balance that cortisol out. So for me, it was taking a step back and all right, well, you know what? This is leaving space for me to run now on those other days. So now I'm getting better at running. And you know what? Sunday, unless we enjoy Friday night, then I take Saturday off. But Sunday is generally my day of just rest and unplug and walk the dog and having time with the wife. And I come in roaring and ready to go on Monday. So letting the body recover. Um, Poor sleep, increased belly fat storage, which I feel like no one wants. Higher cravings, training plateaus. That's how I know I was in that constant high cortisol level in my, mid to late 20s. It's that I didn't make any progress for the longest time. And just looking at like the numbers in the gym, I was like, I was stuck at a, I was stuck at the same bench press for a very long time. And this year, just through proper programming my training and having that as a focus, I've increased substantially. Substantially. I got to tell the wife she's coming to the gym tomorrow because I'm going for another PR and I need somebody to spot me that I could trust. You also get suppressed estrogen and progesterone balance. So too much intensity, too little food, long and short of it, you get a cortisol spike. Well-fed strength training, eating the right things, cortisol should be balanced. Let me hit that chat again. Aches, the day I have none is the day I die. Bob, we are working our way back from years of headaches, and that powerlifting is done for you. I'm convinced I'm going to heal you. Best way to reduce cortisol when work is insane, and is it linked to, well, is it Kat's favorite word? If you've never met Kat before, is DOMS. She loves DOMS, delayed onset muscle soreness. So Kat always has the DOMS. Cortisol is definitely linked to that. That's the slower recovery. Slower recovery. You need to look at ways to, and for everybody, reduction of cortisol. There's a couple supplements out there that you can take that have positive effect on the cortisol levels. Ashwagandha, rhodiola, ginseng come to mind. Green Panax ginseng, red Panax ginseng. Won't mess that up. There's a couple you could take that will help supplement wise. Um, but anything that reduces the stress levels, like I, my wife asks why I take so long in the gym. Well, I try to bring my stress levels down before I go and work out, so I can, because I know I'm going to put myself into a state of high stress when I work out. So I will go in the sauna and I'll do about 5 minutes of just deep breathing. I downloaded an app. It's a set of numbers. It's like 551 or something like that. I got to figure it out. I downloaded, I did a test trial. I didn't sign up for the full subscription, but I felt good just following their 5 minutes of breath work. And I told myself, I don't need this full app because there weren't a lot of options. They were a new app. I don't need this app. I'll follow through. I know the cadence now. 8 counts in, 1 count pause, 4 counts out. I know that. I got I had their cadences down. I never did it once after I deleted the app, so I'll probably download it again. But breath work, really good for bringing cortisol levels down. You'll notice that if you're somebody that's stressed and you take 5 minutes to just turn the lights off, turn the music off, turn the distractions off, turn the phone off, turn your kids off, like all of the things, and you just take 5 minutes to just breathe. It's that's going to bring the stress hormones down. Bringing the dog for a walk, doing stuff that fills your cup brings the stress hormones down. Um, Joe, breath work has done wonders for me and my cortisol and stress in general. I mean, I that's one where I'll always will go back and, correct my wrong mindset if I had it and I was at breath work. Oh, it's just probably a waste of time. I could spend five more times lifting instead of doing that. But as somebody who has gone through bouts of severe anxiety in life, I breath work and just taking 5 minutes to just ground myself is has been fantastic. Put your feet in the grass helps bring it down. You didn't realize like how that's why I got to stop letting this dog poop in my backyard. I'm worried about putting my feet in the grass. But I was doing when I was at the tail end of my life prior to this and managing 19 gyms was getting a little stressful with a corporate takeover. Um, I just remember going for a walk one day and I took the call. I took a crazy call outside and I just stood in the grass and I was like, yes, putting your feet in the grass actually helps bring it down. They call it grounding. Yep. Coda poops in the yard. Adam has cat poop in his yard. Oh, Adam. Send me my picture so I can make my reel after this. Still no text from you. This guy's stressing me out. Too much intensity. Let's keep jumping. What role does insulin play in body composition? Insulin, you hear insulin resistance a lot. Insulin isn't bad, it's misunderstood. It actually helps shuttle nutrients into the muscle. So, me giving myself that insulin spike with a Pop Tart post workout with rice cakes, good thing. Good thing. It's shuttling nutrients right back into my muscle. I beat the crap out of myself in the gym and I'm spiking, I'm getting that sugar into my body and just shuttling the nutrients right back into the muscle. Just, don't be creepy. Don't watch don't he's a pain in my butt. Don't watch people creepily, but if you look and you see like bodybuilders, I've seen guys downing sugar, not sugar packets. What's that candy? That candy that comes
Pixie sticks.
Pixie sticks. Have you seen that? I've seen guys down a Pixie stick in the gym locker room and just and I ask, I'm like, what is that? And they're like, spiking insulin. I'm just trying to spike it right after my workout. Will support recovery, get those nutrients right back into the body, stabilize the blood sugar, support your muscle growth. The problem happens chronic overeating of carbs and fats together. So just having high fatty foods, high carb foods as one meal and just going overboard and spiking it. And that's when stuff gets stored. Under fueling, when you eat too little, your insulin sensitivity kind of it goes down. So then we don't get the right kind of response. And I think one thing most people on here are probably guilty of, the sleep debt. That elevates your insulin needs. So you want insulin sensitivity, you don't want not no insulin. Cat came out with all the good. Cat, I even made little headlines for all your questions tonight. How do estrogen and progesterone affect metabolism? So estrogen actually boosts insulin sensitivity, eases recovery, improves mood, supports fat oxidation, and enhances carbohydrate utilization. So it's great for runners. You know, we both have it. Men have less estrogen. Women tend to be that's your dominant hormone. Progesterone slightly will elevate the body temp. So if you get hot flashes, that's the thing to keep an eye out. It's going to increase cravings, slows gut transit. So when I scroll back up in this chat and I see belly fat girls unite, that tells me we might have a little progesterone issue. We got stuff sitting in the gut. So I would check out that progesterone level. Can reduce high intensity performance. High estrogen phase, you're going to feel strong. High progesterone phase, that's when you want to adjust the intensity and fuel more. What I miss in that chat? Oh, no, nothing. Thought I missed something. Signs of hormonal imbalances affecting your training. Oh. I've been through almost all of these. Almost. Look for low energy, especially in the early afternoon. There might be something off if 2 o'clock is hitting and you're just like doing this, like scratching your head. That's how I know I'm in a decent position right now hormonally. I don't even have to worry about getting checked. Like it is 6:30. I got up at 5 a.m. this morning. I slept in a little bit because went to Epcot yesterday. And yeah, I feel good. Feel good. I'm energy is good. Persistent sore muscles. There are certain metrics that get addicted to. People get addicted to that absolutely mean diddly squat. So one of those being sweat. Sweat is not a good sign. It does not equate to a good workout. I can go and do my crappiest run ever in 100-degree Central Florida. Almost sweat a lot. And oh, it's a great workout. Doesn't equate. Same goes for sore muscles. So if you're constantly sore and you think you're killing it, that doesn't tell me you're killing it. It tells me that something behind the scenes is causing that muscle not to recover properly. Unexpected weight gain. You know, if you're sitting at 200 and you just ramp up to 220 and something is not something's not adding up there. So get the hormones checked. Feeling puffy or bloated, inconsistent cycle. I've talked about this. I've had not even just one, a couple, and then a young lady I knew where cycle completely disappeared. And if the calories are right and they move in the right direction and the hormones start balancing, you can probably regulate that, get that back. Low libido, hey, we are animals. We are animals that are so if you got no libido, that tells me those hormones are not right. If the hair's starting to go, not a good thing. Trouble sleeping, big sign there. Clammy hands and feet, and then high cravings. I mean, that's high cravings are another thing, not good because that's just going to lead to the fat loss, which kind of starts this circle and brings it around. All right, we gain more weight, so now hormones are going to go even further out of whack. But if those are starting to cluster up, that's when the hormones are telling you, hey, we need a little help. This one, this one, I had to go out of the box. I had to reel in one of my clients and say, hey, she works in hormones. So I said, and also went with a female because I don't want to never make assumptions. Never make assumptions. Make sure my research all aligns always. But how do perimenopause and menopause change training needs? So change you'll see lower estrogen. That's going to reduce the insulin sensitivity. Lower estrogen also gets greater inflammation, reduced collagen, which leads to joint aches, slower recovery, more cravings, and sleep disturbances. So the shifts that you should make there, more focus on the strength training, less of the beating yourself up type of high intensity interval training. Going back, man, that's one where it's shown there could be more negative effects when, you know, one or two high intensity workouts good a week. 7 days nonstop, no rest, no recovery, never coming out of that fight or flight mode, probably not the best thing. You want to up the protein on that because, we're going to less muscle if we don't have enough protein. So we want to build that up. More recovery days. Again, I was somebody that if I didn't do something every day, I was, I remember being 27, 28 years old and I would go out and I would party at the Irish bar and I'd be like, I gotta go work out the next morning because I was a train wreck last night. I gotta go sweat this out. And totally not. I was still all messed up, still all tuned up, not in any position to lift anything. I gained no progress from that workout and probably went backwards. So now, like, take the recovery days. I enjoy them. It's time with friends. It's time with the misses. It's good. Recovery is good. You can't grow if you don't recover. Lower high intensity frequency. So yeah, not every day has to be you being the hero. And then more mobility and joint care. It's something, especially this year that I'm putting a big focus on and just trying to make sure my body stays bulletproof. Menopause isn't a setback. We just kind of recalibrate the training as you go through. Birth control is another question I got. How does birth control affect strength, recovery, and body composition? Went to the doctor on this one too. I asked, make sure I'm all getting all my research right. Combined pill, estrogen, and progesterone, you get slightly blunted muscle protein synthesis, reduced natural estrogen peaks, generally stable training performance. You shouldn't notice too many issues with your training. Progesterone only, so the mini pill, the IUD, body temp goes up, cravings tend to go up. Mid luteal phase, like training feeling, which I'll get a little into a little more in the next slide, I believe. And then the IUD, no hormonal impact. Cramps may affect training intensity. Birth control tends to allow consistent training, but it may flatten the hormone peaks. Here we go. Yes, I did get there. Tailoring your training to menstrual cycle phases. So, the follicular phase, days 1 through 14, you're going to have higher estrogen, a lower body temp, best performance window. So, this is where you should really be looking to improve to peak. And I know we can't time it out, especially if, oh, man, I hope I'm in my follicular phase during dopey weekend because I'll perform better. Can't time that out. But if you're in the gym and you're lifting, this might be the time to go for PRs to push the strength training a little bit. The strength training and HIIT should both feel easier. Ovulation, peak power, and confidence. So you should be feeling good then. It's a great time for speed work, great time for heavy lifting. Luteal phase, days 15 through 28, higher progesterone, cravings go up, higher heart rate. That's where your body is less tolerant to high intensity. So if you're somebody who does a lot of high intensity, might be time to pull that away and say, I'm going to strength train a little extra here, but I'm going to embrace maybe the 1 minute, 90 second, 2 minutes of recovery and just let my body down regulate in between. Better for moderate lifting and steady running. Cycle aware training helps you predict progress. Best ways to train around PMS and ovulation. The boys are all like checked out right now. They're checking their phones. Don't worry, man. We'll get back to you in a second. The questions all came from the ladies, so I'm gonna answer all the questions. Ovulation phase, high estrogen. We get that best strength and power output. Great time for PRs. Kind of mentioned that already. You can increase carbs there for performance. That PMS and luteal phase, higher progesterone. So increase your recovery, reduce the high intensity cardio, increase protein and magnesium. Cat's ears perked up. I just told her to take another supplement. Magnesium during that phase. Prioritize your sleep. I know a lot of us, again, are guilty of that. And then slower strength progression happens there. Not about doing less. It's about training in alignment. So not against your biology, not again. Work with your body. Told you I'd get back to you, boys. Male specific hormonal considerations. Men, especially. If things aren't working downstairs or you're just not interested in that at all, I mean, raise the red flags. Something ain't right. Something ain't right. Um, I mean, and got a lot of women on this call. If you notice that in your husband, that might be something. Hey, have you gotten your hormones checked out? You're 45, 50 years old right now. They go down as we get older. So, you get, I'll tie that in with mood changes. Low libido goes down, you seeing mood changes. That might be your time to say, hey, hubby, go see the doc, get them checked, see where you're at, and see what you can do to maximize it. Decrease strength, low morning energy. Spoke with somebody who's going through that now. That's kind of my ears perked up. I was like, that's my first red flag is that I'm hearing that you're tired in the morning after 8 hours of sleep. Something's not right. Then we start holding fat near the belly. Again, that mood changes, mood swings, never good for anybody. Poor sleep, really. That I shouldn't even say male specific with that. If the hormones are off with either, sleep's going to be all out of whack. And then decreased drive or competitiveness, like testosterone gives you that want to compete kind of confidence and feeling good. So often tied to low T, high cortisol, poor sleep, low protein intake, chronic dieting, too much high intensity cardio. I saw what would have been yesterday on my Facebook memories. My Facebook memories came up, and yesterday would have been my 9-year coaching anniversary in group fitness. And there were actually two gentlemen that were in the photo. They were in the photo and they have been doing those workouts 5, 6, 7 days a week for 9 years. Very high intensity. And I looked and I said, these guys look exactly the same. They have not made any progress. And then I looked at the picture of me from 9 years ago and I'm like, damn, I look like a baby in that picture. And I honestly think there's too much of that high intensity cardio doesn't align, with their, you know, their metabolic needs, their hormone needs. They need to be focusing a little more on the strength. And I'm like, they could transform so easily if they just peeled back and and shifted their training mentality. But for men and women, strength, protein, and sleep, that's the trifecta. Those are those are the ones we really want to hone in on to get those going. Stress, cortisol, and overtraining for both sexes. High cortisol affects us all. Again, comes back to higher cravings, more belly fat storage, poor recovery. You're gonna have trouble sleeping. You're gonna have lower motivation, hormonal suppression. Men tend to be more prone to burnout through intensity. Women tend to get more through underfueling. So women, we eat too low. And I just had this conversation with somebody. Well, she's on the call, but you look on the she is on the call. You look on the internet, and if you Google calories for fat loss for a woman, and I'm willing to bet 1,200 is the number. 1,200 has been like this magic number for women to lose weight for years. I mean, since probably the 80s is 1,200. For men, you generally hear 1,600, you occasionally hear 1,400, which is like, but it's been this magic number. And none of that takes into account, you know, we're looking, let's just, because Kat requested a call, I'll just use Kat as an example. None of that. If I say, hey, Kat, we're going to eat 1,200 calories so that you could lose weight, but none of that takes into account Kat's age, Kat's height, she's taller, Kat's current weight, Kat's activity level. She's training for dopey right now. It just says, throw the dart, 1,200 calories. That's what all women. Now, if we look at, another woman, we would just pick out somebody randomly, that could be 300 pounds, 4'2", is not training for dopey, is, uh, just sedentary, 1,200 pounds for her. There are so many more pieces to that puzzle of just the random number that gets thrown out there. So underfueling, if you follow that 1,200 guideline and cortisol's up, the cravings go up, belly fat storage goes up, the recovery goes up, something's not aligned. So it's got to be dialed in for you. Is my long and short of it. But different pathways, same outcome for both genders. We manage the stress, we can optimize performance. Very big on managing the stress. Wait, nope, nope. Back to thyroid health. Thyroid health. So that thyroid, it's going to drive your metabolic rate. It's going to help with recovery, regulates the body temperature, energy, and mood. Risk factors for both sexes. Going too low on the calories. And, you know, we run your information through. So I think some people would be mind blown at their resting metabolic rate. We'll plug me in. We'll plug me in after this if we have time, and we'll just look and see how far off, you know, what mine looks like. Or I can just make up a fake person. We'll plug it in. But low calorie, too long, not good. Too much cardio. Cardio, great for heart health. I will say that all day. But cardio will burn out that thyroid if you do it too much. So if you're a 7-day-a-week runner, I've seen people start progressing by switching from a 7-day only running into I'm gonna run 3 days, I'm gonna lift 3 days, I'm gonna rest one day, And I've seen that be the only change. And they're like, I am finally making progress that I wasn't making before. Poor sleep for the thyroid, low carb intake. So you go too low carb, too long. That's where I'm very big on balance. Just we got to have the right numbers, the right macros, the right balance of them all. I do not align with keto. I do not align with low fat because each of them has their play. Micronutrient deficiencies, I'll cut into that on the next slide. But the thyroid, it really thrives with adequate calories, carbs, protein, strength training, and restorative sleep. So if you sleep for 8 hours and you sleep like crap for 8 hours, that's not the best sleep. We got to figure out what the heck's going on there. Is something off? Because tell you what, this house could be on fire. This house could absolutely be on fire. And unless Kim like shook me, I'm not waking up, man. I hope a burglar never comes because I'm gonna sleep right through until I gotta spring to action. Or he might ask me a question. I'm like, yeah, yeah, the wallet's over there. But my sleep, if you're sleeping deep, you know things are in the right direction. Sleep deep, I feel fully rested when I wake up. And there was a conversation we had last night where she's like, "What do you wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning?" I'm like, "I get my 7 or 8 hours, and I don't want to disturb you guys walking around the house. I go to the gym, I'll walk laps in the parking lot just to loosen my body up before I work out, get my mind right." So, that's me. Nutrition and exercise for the thyroid health. Things that the thyroid needs. Enough calories. We said that already. Especially the carbs. Enough protein because that helps repair and with conversion. Selenium. So, for those of you that have thyroid issues that we talked about above, and again, talk to your doctor on this. Um, Consider supplementing selenium or taking in a little more eggs and seafood. Iodine, which you get from salted foods, maybe take a look at that. Zinc, if you don't eat, a lot of meats, getting a zinc supplement in is probably going to help with that thyroid. And then iron, so red meat, spinach, and then considerations, chronic high intensity work. So when I talk about chronic, and I've mentioned that a couple times, I probably should have had clarity there, but I'm talking training at 84% of your max heart rate and up. 84, 84 and above percent on that max heart rate, that is high intensity. That is gonna stress your body out. Your body is not designed to live in those zones. So no bueno. Increase the strength training. Prioritize deload weeks. I'm very fortunate that a lot of people that I work with, um, whether it's one-on-one or group, are Disney people because y'all vacation. So I don't even have to really worry about prioritizing deload weeks. You do the hard work there for me. But even like a deload week, when I go on the cruise, I still exercise generally. But it is the most, people will look at me and be like, what the heck is up with this guy? He's curling like 10-pound weights, he's doing 10-pound lunges. And it's really just about going through the range of motion, keeping your body moving, not being lazy, but letting things recover. And then managing stress. The benefits of walks are just, they're phenomenal. Those are going to be doing extra hit. So many people I've seen over 9 years that did not make any progress and because they were just beating themselves into the ground. But your thyroid, it thrives when the body feels safe and when the body feels fueled. How strength training is going to improve that hormone balance. So we're going to increase insulin sensitivity. We're going to lower cortisol long term, which is a big win there. Growth hormone. So we pulse growth hormone a lot while we sleep. So that ties back to that deep restorative sleep that I was talking about. We pulse growth hormone a lot at night during that deep sleep. So if you're not in REM or deep sleep, then you're probably not getting as much of a growth hormone growth hormone boost there. But we also pulse it a lot when we strength train. So we get a little bit of release there. So it's a huge benefit. Supporting testosterone, mentioned that before. Um, Testosterone in big difference here in boys we generally produce some testosterone from the testes, but for women and men, testosterone you muscle. So big quads, big hamstrings, you do deadlifts, you're going to get a larger release from those large muscle groups on testosterone, enhancing energy, estrogen metabolism, improved sleep quality. Man, strength training makes me sleep good. And then reduced inflammation. So we're gonna get inflamed from the strength training, but overall, as we adapt to that, that inflammation should come down. So it's kind of hormonal Swiss Army knife. Which workouts raise cortisol excessively? Big ones. Fasted cardio. And when I'm talking fasted cardio, I do fasted cardio every day, and I put this as the first one. I do fasted cardio every day. When I do fasted cardio, it is a this is Claudia's homework. I gave this to her to mix in when she's good. I gave her walks on the treadmill at a low zone one, zone two, zone one, zone two, and that should keep it in line there. But when you go into zones three, four, five, and you got no fuel in the system, cortisol is going to go up. So we asterisk fasted cardio in zones one and two, not bad. Zones three, four, and five, probably not the best. Chronic long duration exercise. So I mean, just think about it. I run marathons. I run half marathons. I've run half marathons with people on this call, seeing you all at half marathons. I enjoy it, but chronically doing that, it's toll on your system. It is a stressor. I'm not saying don't do it at all, but you know, maybe every weekend and just look at training plans. I work, I work with Chris Twiggs on my running, and this weekend he's got me scheduled for 26 miles. The following weekend it's probably four. We don't do 26 every weekend because the body needs to heal. Your body doesn't need that much cortisol. Too much hit 3 to 5 days a week or more. Under recovery. So, man, put an emphasis on your recovery. You'll feel so much better, whether it's recovery boots or Theragun. I've had a Theragun since before Theraguns were popular, since before Target carried them. And it's the first time I brought my Theragun to the gym ever last week. I brought it with me. I started doing it between sets, and I'm like, this is genius. I need to charge it before tomorrow. It's my reminder. 2 a day training. Melissa, not calling out anybody. How do we mitigate? Fuel before the workouts. For me, it's a protein shake and a quick half serving of Ignition by First Form. It's a little sugar blast. I take that before I work out. Adding in the rest days, prioritizing the strength training, cutting HIIT to 1 or 2 days a week, getting more sleep, increasing the protein and carbs. More stress does not equal more progress. As somebody who started going to the gym for confidence and stress relief, and because it was like a solace from the stress of life, that was one very hard for me to get on board with. And I just noticed progress skyrocketing when I realized the body has to recover. It's got to. How sleep affects growth hormone. Man, Kat, you came through with these questions. Growth hormone and testosterone. Sleep deprivation will drop your testosterone by 10 to 30%. So, not a good thing. Not a good thing. It's going to reduce those growth hormone pulses. Both of those is what leads to that slowed muscle repair. Slowed muscle repair, going to increase the cortisol. You've also got those two hormones that we talked about before, leptin and ghrelin. It's going to increase cravings, increase hunger signals, and also decrease insulin sensitivity. I love motivational YouTube videos, 5 minutes in the sauna, 10 minutes in the car before I go into the gym. That's what I'm watching. I'm watching something to get me hyped up. Big names, Eric Thomas, he's the one I'm going to talk about, David Goggins, all like Jocko Willink, all these people. I could listen to them and I am just amped up, ramped up, ready to lift some things. I can't listen to them at night because I want to go work out. Bye, Bob. And then, but Eric Thomas, his big thing was team no sleep. I talked to 50 Cent. He said, I don't sleep. I'll sleep when I'm dead. And I asked Beyonce, and she was on a set for 3 days. She hadn't slept. His team no sleep is on his shirts, team no days off. And it jacked me up when I was 25, and I'll still listen to it. Jacks me up. But now I'm like, no, dude, I need my sleep because I perform better when I sleep. I love David Goggins. Cycle agnostic training patterns. So even if you don't have a menstrual cycle, men, postmenopausal women, hormonal and birth control, you're still going to have hormonal rhythms that are going to be driven by the sleep, the stress, nutritional load, and training load. So that's going to create weekly training patterns that influence performance, fat loss, motivation, and recovery. So learning the body's non-cyclical cycle matters too. So just kind of assessing. I take little notes. How am I feeling? What's going on here? Was my sleep good? How did my performance relate to that? Did I have a stressful Monday? Is that why my workout Tuesday sucked? Did I undereat on Wednesday or have tacos tonight? And that's why I felt weak in the gym, or I just couldn't get into a rhythm because I was bloated from the tacos that I'll have. So you got to look at all of these things and then how does it affect me? And then you really unlock your performance. Big nutrition strategies for healthy hormones. So for estrogen, you're going to want healthy fats, salmons. I'm smiling at you. Or I said salmons. My my friend who eats salmon every day. Beautiful. Or once a week, Fridays. That's fantastic because we're getting that healthy fats. We're supporting the estrogen. Also, avocados and nuts. Cruciferous veggies and an adequate amount of carbs. Progesterone, getting magnesium. I didn't want to call you out by name after you just told me that, but since you drew attention to yourself, go Charlotte. Magnesium, vitamin B6, complex carbohydrates, insulin balance, protein at every meal, so about 25 to 40 grams, however that fits into your macros. Fiber, fiber. If you're not regular, get some more fiber in. Get some more fiber in. Definitely going to rewatch this one. Very good information. See you, Daniela. Consistent fueling, avoiding extreme deficits. Bodybuilders do it all the time. They go down to 800 and they're able to do that. Why? Because they're on supplemental hormones. They're pumping themselves full of stuff, but not a healthy thing to do. For cortisol, regular meals, walking, strength training over the HIIT work. Man, I told y'all I made a lot of slides. How many I got left? Well, I still got 2 left. More often, women are going to need more fuel, more recovery, more strength work, smarter intensity planning. So timing that around your cycle and cycle aware adaptation. Men are going to need more mobility work. We're just not as mobile. I wish Bob had not gotten off here because I've been trying to preach mobility for him, but not as mobile. Men need more sleep, better nutrition consistency, less ego-driven intensity, and better stress modulation. So it's different strengths bring different challenges, but same path to success here: strength, fueling, and recovery work. Um, the real universal. This is not male. This is not female. No matter the sex, no matter the life stage, strength training 2 to 4 times per week is going to be the ideal. 25 to 40 grams of protein per meal, which, you know, if you're 130 pounds, you probably don't need 40 grams per meal. Better off towards the 20-25. Probably 25 because I'm betting you're falling a little low. But, for me, 210 pounds. I got to eat close to 40 grams per meal to hit my goal. Otherwise, I'm eating 17 meals a day. Manage stress intentionally. So, Kat, go do your breath work tonight. Close the lights, put on something calming, and just chill. Avoid chronic deficits. We're talking 700, 800 calories. Prioritize high quality carbs. Hot Cheetos, white rice. Chips Ahoy, sweet potatoes. Support your micronutrients. So, this is the nutrients you get from the veggies. Melissa, I'll have to look 5 point something. I'll look for it. Give me a second. I'll find it. And then stay consistent with your recovery. Hormonal health starts with foundational habits, not supplements. Again, I think I've said this on all 3 calls, man. Somebody always wants to ask me as the first question when they meet, hey, man, so what supplements are you on? And I'm like, hard work, getting off my butt every morning at 4:30 and eating chicken, fish, turkey, and steaks. So it's not, supplements will help, but they're not the full picture. Putting it all together, what we want our fueling in alignment with our physiology, training that matches our energy levels, strength to control hormones, not be controlled by them, and then a plan that grows as the seasons of life change. That's how you're going to stop plateauing and start thriving. Oh, I think I got it. We made it to the finish line of my Canva. Let's stop the screen share. I told you I was going to be a lot of information tonight. Now let's see if I can find what Melissa was looking for. Let me move you all down here now to my other monitor. Questions, comments, concerns.
So I have a lot, but I want to let other people ask first, since
Hey,
I don't know.
you could also bring them, I'm gonna open the doors on tomorrow's call. So we could continue on if you have a ton of them and you
Well,
could share them.
it's just regarding the thyroid stuff, because that's kind of my biggest like issue. And like some of the stuff you just said, I've heard the exact opposite from doctors. Mind you, I have found no studies and no research on this. It's all very conveniently anecdotal, but
Mhm.
it's something that I'm like almost every doctor I've been to is like, you need to do low carb. You need to, you can't be doing any cardio. Like you can't be doing any high intensity. So like, when I was living in Florida, I wanted to do the Disney like half marathon. So I started training. And so in one of my appointments, I went to the doctor. I go every year for like my testing and stuff. And so I was telling her about it because they ask about like physical activity. So I was like, yeah, I've like wanted to do, wanted a half marathon. So I've like kind of like started doing like training for it. So I'm trying to adjust and like figure out how to do that, whatever. And she's like, well, you shouldn't be running at all. And like she went off on me. And I'm like, I don't know how I feel about a grown ass person yelling at me, another grown ass person, over what I assumed was a healthy habit. But I was
You
told
know,
immediately, like, no carbs, no cruciferous vegetables, uh, tone it down on the red meat, low fat if I can do it, no dairy. And so I kind of like, I got to a point where I was like, am I supposed to photosynthesize my nutrition? Because I don't know any like what is okay. And like I always thought I had a pretty balanced diet. Like I love potato chips as most of the next person, but it's not like like the main staple. So it's been just like this has been like a 20-year journey for me because I got diagnosed when I was 16. Um, so it has been very difficult, and like I've gone like high carb, I've gone no carb, I've gone low carb. Like I've had like I just don't know, and like I'm on thyroid medication for the rest of my life. So that's just like why I have so many questions, because I'm trying to lose weight, but I'm stuck in that like plateau that just never ends. And then when it does end, I go up. And then when I come down, I just come down to like somewhere where I already been. And then it doesn't go down from there. It just like goes back up. And I'm trying to find that balance and trying to get over like that hurdle so I can actually make progress. Cause it sounds like it gets really frustrating really quickly.
I agree. That's very frustrating. It's very stressful. I'm gonna link it back to, Kim went to a physical therapist before Dopey last year, and his response was, don't do Dopey. That's stupid. Pull out. It's your body's not designed to do that. And then I sent her to a physical therapist that is a runner that does enjoy, it's doing the Chicago Marathon, and the woman, came at it with a whole different approach. You're gonna do this, so how can I help you navigate it? I think that's just not a good answer, not the answer you want when you're trying to work on your health to get from your doctor, for your doctor to say, like, no, this isn't good for you. Don't do it. Like, we know there's countless health benefits, mental health benefits of doing cardio. So doing cardio 7, 8 days a week, probably not the best thing. It's gonna hit the stress hormone, but doing it, 3 days a week like you're doing is good. The low carb diet, like I'm in the background, I started looking up just things and on even on PubMed, like they did a study, low carb diet frequently used for treatment of reactive hypoglycemia, hypertriglyceridemia, and obesity can affect thyroid function. We studied the effects of replacing the deleted carb with either fat or protein in adults. subjects were randomly assigned. Oh, there's all the, but it was not a good thing, giving you the long and short of it. And then every other article I found is kind of supporting that so far. It's that low carb diets can impact thyroid health, potentially causing a decrease in active T3 and an inactive reverse T3, which can worsen symptoms in some people with hypothyroidism.
Yeah, and that's what I have. So I was like, I like as you were talking, I'm like, I would rather that all the stuff you just said be the real deal because I would like to like I going through like my 30-minute runs isn't like a huge issue on like the whatever 95 grams of carbs a day I have. But once I start hitting that higher mileage, like this weekend is 5 miles. Um, so like once I start hitting that higher mileage, like I have to consume carbs to keep going. Um, there's no alternative to that. So I mean, like for when I did the Princess this year, I ran out of gels like at mile 7. Um,
Okay.
about mile 9 or 10 is when they gave us the like jelly bean ones when they were handing them out. And I downed the entire bag. Like I just chewed all of them. Like I was so drained. I'm like, I need something to like push me the last 3 miles because then that one on ramp that's like 17 miles long comes up like towards the very end. Um, but I was struggling because I'm like, well, if I can't have like high carbs, like I need to have them for the run. But like finding the balance between like my like racing goals and my nutrition goals and my weight loss goals is where I'm with thyroid disease is where I'm having this like when I'm seeing this struggle because there's so many like I've received so many conflicting pieces of information and so much conflicting advice that I'm like I wonder if like all these conflicting is what has like all these like conflicting pieces of information are what have my hormones all jacked up and maybe if I just like did whatever I wanted, maybe I don't even have like thyroid disease, and it's just a matter of
So,
going like yeah, go like being like having these like drastic changes from because I went from like a regular just like standard amount of carbs at one point in time to they're like you shouldn't be having any carbs and I got like I said I got pretty much just like she went after me that day and I just went zero carb for like 4 months and I hated it I didn't lose enough weight to make
that
it worth it. I think I lost like 5 pounds over that like 4 month period.
you lost the water weight associated with the carbs. You didn't lose any. I hate to say it, you didn't lose any fat if you only lost 5 pounds going low carb there.
I I was miserable. I was miserable.
So
I was angry all the time. I hated everyone. If someone like inconvenienced me in the slightest bit, like turns out that bread and pasta do actually make you happy. So
how?
like
Yeah, well,
go
I was
ahead,
gonna
go ahead.
say, Alex is also Latina, so she got to have that race. She need the
Yeah.
race in her life. Don't take it away. What I would say for you, how often do you get your levels monitored?
I'm going once a year now. I was going 2 to 3 times before, and then it evened out, so they just told me to go once a year.
Get them checked. I would get them checked, and that's when I would reincorporate carbs right after. More carbs and see the reaction there. Not gonna probably not get it back to 100%, but you're not gonna know. Like we can't change what we don't track. So track it on where you're at now. Check it. Then
Because I think,
reincorporate the carbs. You're gonna be doing long distance runs because you're training up for a race. Lift. Melissa probably doesn't have a mic on, and I saw a child there. Lift heavy AF. Lift heavy AF during that period. And then after three to 4 months, get the levels checked again. If they've moved in the correct direction, then we know that the low carb is not a win for you.
okay,
Then, but you, I, as somebody who thrives on that, I will do that myself where I'm like, all right, got my hormones checked. Now let's eat a steak once a week and see if my testosterone level goes up when I get the hormones checked next time. Let's incorporate this. Let's see how that works. and test and retest and look for the reaction there. That's, I think, your best bet.
I can do that. I'm supposed to go in January, but I'll see if I can move it more to like this like end of December.
I'd
And
move it.
start it.
I'd move
So
it sooner, and I'm only saying that because you've got Princess coming up, right?
hmm
So you're gonna want to be up in those carbs regardless. And also, girl, you Puerto Rican, right?
yeah,
You're gonna be wanting to have the gondolas and the rice
absolutely.
on
I
Thanksgiving while all you
cannot
the
I
platanos, like,
cannot like hold out for Christmas.
yeah, you got to get that tested before. That way you can embrace it. And I'll be like, I'm on a low carb diet, mama. Don't give me that. And you know the guilt will come in too. You know, honey, you can't be eating the rice. You, I know how it
In
is.
my family, like it's weird if you don't like my mom's diabetic and that's the one thing that she had to have like a conversation with her doctor about. Um and the because he's like, well, just bring down your carbs. So like they didn't want her to like spike her sugar or anything. And they're like, well, just, cut down on rice. And she's like, pick another carb. Like in my family, because that's the standard. Like their meals is like rice and beans and then a protein. It's easy. It's like preset. You like, so for like, even like in my family, it's not a thing to just tell someone to not eat rice. Like if I showed up and I'm like, oh, I'm going like low carb or no carb and I don't have rice on my plate, I get side-eyed real quick. So I do have that advantage with like family, at least.
Best thing I ever did was marry into a Latin family. We get rice all the time. I know how it is. Want an extra serving? My mother-in-law always knows to make extra. Um, but yeah, test, retest, everything I'm looking at on this top window, I have not found anything supporting what your doctor said. That being said, always listen to your doctors, ladies and gentlemen. But I have not found a single, and I'm going to go down the rabbit hole after we get off here and also talk to some people, talk to some people in the hormone world that I know and try to get some answers because I don't like the answer you got. And I want to be able to dive deeper into this.
Yeah, and to defend my doctor here, I've never actually had the conversation with her. She's always been just like, balanced diet and like exercise, just like maintain some level of physical activity. Um, so I'll talk to my doctor here more in depth about it and see what she says. But yeah, like I for the longest time I just received so much like conflicting information and it just turns into like a like I'm at a point where I'm just like honestly and fully confused where like I mean we've talked about me going like lower carb so
Hmm.
the reason I like break that sometimes so you'll look at I
I'll see it.
side note I don't see my Fitness Pal fully syncing with the app so but you'll see that like some days I'm like at 140 or like 130 carbs. It's honestly because like I'm moving around a lot and my energy like I'm exhausted. My energy is like through
Your
so I
body's
just like
telling you it needs it.
so I like pile on the carbs because I'm like it's source of energy, so we're just gonna go with
Yeah, your
it.
body's telling you it needs it.
So and it's like not like high fiber carbs. It's like actual like rice and pasta and like stuff like that'll like just get me through being able to move throughout the day. So if you see those spikes, it's usually a day where even if I don't work out, I've just been constantly on the go and I just need that like burst of energy that's not like, a sugar high or like caffeine.
I got you. Bye, Krista. Bye, Sonia. I got you. I think, yeah, you need the balance. Get them checked. That's going to be your homework. And then you and I can jump on a one-on-one call and kind of dial in a little more on that. And we'll talk about this. We'll throw in, maybe we'll extend the conversation tomorrow too, because I didn't leave a lot of extra room for questions. But yeah, we're going to keep diving into this, Alex, and figure out what the heck your doctor's talking about.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. The rest of y'all, the doors are open on the call tomorrow. I'll send the link in the chat. Come and hang out with us. That's my normal Thursday night crew. You're all more than welcome. Come hang out, shoot me questions in advance. I will keep that one open for them, and we'll get back on our regularly scheduled programming of me prepping slideshows for Thanksgiving week. Make good decisions tonight. And oh, send me your, I should have said this at the beginning. I'll put it in the chat. Send me your weigh-ins Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. Your final weigh-ins for this challenge. And then shoot me questions. Make good decisions. Bye.
Thanks, Coach.
Bye.